Good morning. My premise this morning is that we have to change our minds, be able to change our minds, if progress is to be made. And we seem to have a lot of people who have a great deal of difficulty changing their minds, or having to change their minds. For example, today I wanted to mention this this story. And in it says, Democrats, moderates block state birth control bill. Well, there was another bill also before the Senate which passed, but still is not law yet. Has to go through the governor and I don't know what all else before. And this was a very controversial bill, even more so than this one, on whether, although more people are affected by this one, the birth control bill, trying to decide whether people can opt out from providing birth control if it's against their religious principles. And this other one is preventing or restricting abortion up to 20 weeks alone. And that would make Arizona one of the very first states, if the only state, to pass this restriction to abortion. Because when it was legalized, abortion was legal up to 9 months, which I think led to some very horrifying stories about children being aborted, or when they were obviously big enough to survive in the outside world, because now they're saving preemies at a very, I know my niece's grandchild was saved when she was only 6 months and so many days, weeks along, but not 7. So this little preemie stayed in the hospital 2 months and was saved, and is doing okay now. Well, anyway, I thought about the 20 weeks along bill and how people need to change their minds about saving these children. And I think that is very difficult for some people to support this when they supported abortion right up until, you know, it's like changing your mind on this kind of subject is just so threatening or challenging. It's like it can't be done easily. So we have all these arguments. And then I would say being informed is another big necessity when we try to make good decisions about what we think, what we're going to vote for. Being informed. Like I have the problem of getting myself informed just like everybody else. I depend on the paper, and yesterday I happened to glance at this and I thought that that the abortion restriction bill had failed, even though the day before it said it passed the Senate. Well, I didn't think about that because I was just so worried for fear it was going to fail that I misread this and blogged about it, and now I've got to go back and change because I've made a mistake.
What?
Yes.
You made a mistake.
See, he doesn't think that I could ever concede that I made a mistake in informing myself.
You're the only person I know that's ever walked across a swimming pool.
Be careful. Be careful
walked
now.
Across a swimming pool and never dropped
be careful. See, he can get mighty insulting, you know.
Wait a minute.
And
that's just a fact.
And he's very, you know, he's very sharp trying to catch me in some mistake. So it does, I guess it helps to have a person like him around. That's my, I try to think that when he's really aggravating me.
Am I your nemesis?
I try to think that.
That must be your nemesis then,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, my nemesis over here, you know, and so I'm resigned to putting up with him from, you know, he has his faults, which I've enumerated many times, but
over the past 6 or 7 years,
he's good.
Every week for 6 or 7 years.
Well, talk about me having a hard time changing my mind. I think, and so when we stop and think about how hard it is to change our minds when we've got ourselves set against something, we have really got this big problem now with the Republican and the Democratic Party. It's like people feel they have to be loyal to what the Democrat are supporting, and on the other hand, Republicans have to be very loyal to their party and what their leaders think of what they can figure out, of what they can inform themselves of. And it's just the problem in informing yourself of what really is involved in the stand that you're supporting is always a big problem, always. And if we can inform ourselves, keep ourselves informed, think about what some policy means, then maybe we can change our minds. Change. Because why wouldn't anyone who's civilized in their right mind wouldn't want to bring down abortion numbers? Now that just makes sense to me. And how are you going to do that? You've got to become more flexible about what you can do to bring down the abortion numbers. Death to that many children, 1 million a year in this country, is not good. I mean, I should think, what have you got to say about this subject?
Well, nothing. I just you threw something out there that kind of threw me off, and you said civilized in their right minds. Now, are we talking about politicians here being civilized and in their right minds?
We don't need any denigrating remark about politicians. We're all politicians. I may not be running.
I'm not a politician.
Well, yes, you are. You're an armchair politician, sitting here passing judgment on all these fools out there.
Yeah, you said it. I didn't say it.
Oh, no, as if you don't. Oh, they're all insane. They're all stupid. They're all...
I didn't say that.
And how many times have you seen in a family a feud start,
that.
years before, and nobody changes their mind, and 50 years later they're still mad at that original thing that happened years ago, and they're not ever going to talk to that person again.
That's right.
And they're not ever going to be on good terms with them. Well,
the British still don't like us for breaking away.
Well, I suppose there are some British
if we didn't bail them out of World War II, they still wouldn't like us.
Don't like it. But I'd say if you can't change your mind on something, you can't figure out how to say, well, now I'm changing my mind, and be able to stand up under the questions that come at you with people who are depending on your support. This really must be in the Senate when the Republicans here, they tried to pass this bill, and they thought they counted all the Republicans that were going to vote for them. Well, these Republicans turned out to be what they're calling moderates now, who didn't quite go along with them, and they voted against it. So they lost when they thought for sure that all the Republicans would back them. So now, what are they going to do about it? They've got to listen to these people, not only the Democrats, but the Republicans who voted against the bill. Why did they vote against it? And what can they do to change their minds, or if they really think that this is the right thing to do to... Now, you see, the birth control bill and the birth control controversy, to me, had significance because I found out, and I've tried to find this out for years, what is in the birth control pill that made the Catholics against it so strong. And I asked my sister, who's a nurse, I asked, and she sort of gave me the idea that the birth control pill is different than the the abortion, morning after abortion pill. They're different. They do different things. Well, right here in Arizona, in the debate,
is there a morning after abortion pill?
Yeah, there is. They call it the morning after abortion pill. You take it, and if you're pregnant, you will not be pregnant anymore after it's worked. Well, that is, the people who are against abortion, that is wrong. An abortion pill is against the principle. It's right in the beginning, but still, if it's a life that's flushed out after it's started, then it's an abortion. And Paul...
What if nature does it?
Well, if nature does it, well, you can't help what nature does, but you can't help it along.
Really?
The mother is a protector of the child and can't do something about, according to religion now, not according to law. The law has now differed from religion. Well, heavens, they did for years and years and years. Yeah, the law and religion coincided in their belief of what was wrong.
That's what we had all of those
abortion was illegal.
All those wonderful wars.
Oh, yeah, well. And then all of a sudden, it became all right. It became right. Well, then the religious said, well, hey, I don't think that, it has become right. So therefore, this law is wrong. And we've got to repeal it because it is not a good law. It takes life. And we believe, what is murder? Murder is against the law. This is murder. So they had this big controversy. And with the people who might like this law cannot deny that it takes violence. It takes bloodshed. It takes death. And is that good? I mean, you've got to think you've got to think, is that good? And it's just not going to be followed that we should say, oh, now that we've declared that abortion is not wrong, even though it does take a life, why try to restrict it?
Can I ask a question?
What?
Our healthcare system is in serious jeopardy for two reasons. One is the healthcare system is screwed up badly. The doctors and the hospitals are taking much too much money, and the healthcare insurers are scraping 30 to 40% off the top before they even start paying anything. And secondly, who's going to take care of all of these unwanted children? We can't afford it. A mother, what the welfare costs?
Oh, now here he is. This is the argument. We can't take care of those children. They go on welfare. They're born in poverty. We cannot make it against the law. And so the idea was,
who's paying for
the poor need to abort their children if they can't take care of them. They're trying to get the poor to go along with the idea of abortion. Now, is that right? Is that right? I don't think it is. A lot of other people don't. I say that we were in the process. We were just coming off of big families, huge big families. I grew up with people who would have 14 kids, 15, 16, 17. Well,
that was in the 1900s.
No, it wasn't. It was in the 1930s. So, when you get into the modern times where women went out to work, it was imperative that you diminish the amount of kids you had. As you simply could not, a mother simply couldn't go out and work and have 14 or 10 or whatever kids. So we were just trying to find out how we could develop sure control that didn't. And the religious people were like, we have to do this without hurting a child that's already conceived. That's wrong. We can't go that route. And the religious still don't go that route. That is against the religion. So That's what we have to do, is inform ourselves, change our minds. Oh, he's turning off the lights.
I told you time was up.
Think, and be willing to change. Change your mind.